What's up, guys? So I studied advertising at BYU, and the first ad I ever ran was in a newspaper. And depending on how long this video is circulated for, some of you might not even have to Google what a newspaper is. But I was working with a small company. They were kind of like a retirement home. So we pay $700. We get in the newspaper twice a week for the whole month. And guess what happens? No phone calls, no leads, no signups. So they come back and say, well, you know what? We really can't afford to continue advertising this way. It's not in our budget. And we ran no more ads, and that was kind of the end of it, right? We didn't do much more work for them. So Facebook is so great because most traditional marketing works that way. TV, print, radio, billboard. You're gonna have to pay quite a bit of money up front. Social media does not. If you want to run ads on Facebook, all you need to get started is $1 a day. And we're gonna talk about how you can drive results on Facebook for as little as $1 a day as your starting point. And the first step is, of course, have a page. We like video. So what does $1 get you on Facebook, right? $1 might get you 150 to 250 impressions. Or if you're running a video, it might get you 75 to 150 video views. And it's accumulative. So the whole point of $1 a day when we talk about it is about mitigating risk, right? Because most people, when they think of advertising, you come up with some creative, you're sending it to some target market, you put your ad out there and you just kind of hope and pray that it converts, right? Like with the newspaper. But in the case of the newspaper, the ads didn't convert, right? Again, nothing happened with them. So we've seen about 1 in every 10 posts on Facebook is a winner. And with $1 a day is you want to accelerate the process of finding your winners. So we view Facebook as like an amplifier or a magnifying glass, where if you put something good out there, it works really well. For example, we've done work for the Golden State Warriors, and we found that the thing that worked best is when they have a really good play, when Stephen Curry makes like a half-court shot or a game-winning three, we take those clips that we know get a lot of engagement, gets people excited, and those are the ones we'd advertise. And of course, that gets a ton of engagement, a ton of video views, which then translates to people buying a lot of tickets, right? So you might be creating videos, working on your personal brand. Maybe you even have a client where you're trying to run ads for, or you have your own business, trying to sell t-shirts, whatever it is. Start by publishing your content, and you want to put $1 a day for 7 days, right? For 1 week, to give it a little bit of time, because any one day could be an outlier. If you just run it for 1 day, you know, your market might not just be online at that time. So $1 a day over 7 days. Then at the end of the 7 days, you'll go back in and compare. And hopefully you're doing this with multiple posts at a time. Because remember, we said 1 in 10 is a winner. So I might have 10 videos, or they could be images or carousels. There's a lot of different things. And I might test each of them all at the same time for 1 week. So I've now spent $70 total, but each for $1 a day. And then when I go back in, I'm going to notice that they get different results. Some of them might get more impressions than others. Some of them might get more traffic to my website. Some of them might get more video views. Some will basically do pretty well. Some will not do so well. They'll kind of suck it up, right? So the ones that don't do well, you just turn those off, which will be 90% of the time. You know, no sense running something that we know is a loser, right? But when you find your ad that works, you want to do a few things. A, you can extend it. So for example, we have some ads that have been running for $1 a day for over 3 years now, where we just know they're good and we're not burning them out. Sometimes, you know, you want to avoid burning something out. So you guys will see this with TV ads, where there might be an ad that's funny at first, but you see it so often that it loses, you know, its cleverness or humor, whatever it is. So by $1 a day, you're never going to burn out the audience, right? And it's all about mitigating risk.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some of the best videos that we've seen for $1 a day have been running to the same audience for over a year. I mean, like over 12 months, like 18 months, and they're still getting consistent results, right? And something interesting that we saw is frequency severely affects results, right? So if someone's seeing an ad too many times, your results are going to drop off like crazy. And usually we see that around more than 3 touches a week is usually too many. And the $1 a day strategy is going to make sure that you're not burning out your audience. And if you do have a bigger audience, you know, like Logan said, you can put more money behind it, amplify your winners, but you're not going to exhaust people, and they're not going to get tired of seeing your content on just $1 a day.
Yeah, definitely. So it's great too, especially if you're a small business entrepreneur, you don't have a huge budget like the Warriors or like MGM. Great starting point. And this is something that can really be effective because, again, when you amplify your winners, you're working with Facebook. So I do a lot of speaking. I've gone to some conferences where occasionally someone will come up to me and say, "Oh, you're Logan. I've seen your videos all over the place." And I'll say, "Dude, I haven't created a new video in like a few months, right? But what I've done is I've made some videos that are good, right? I found like a few winners, and I just have them boosted or running as ads for $1 a day. Again, kind of evergreen. So you want to create evergreen content as a point of $1 a day too. Because consider this, there's 3 types of content. Calendar driven, which is tied to some date. You know, it's our 4th of July sale, it's our Black Friday special, you know, it's the Christmas whatever. Then there's spontaneous, you know, a sports team wins the Super Bowl or someone's elected president. You just kind of are talking about that. And then in the middle, you have evergreen content. And that's content that's not tied to the calendar. It can live forever, right? So that's like a musician with their greatest hits. I'm a huge 80s metal fan. So Guns N' Roses, one of my favorite bands. And I know, Ben, you enjoy them too. Yeah. So I saw Guns N' Roses perform a few months ago, and they're playing the same songs that they originally wrote in 1987, right? So 30 years later, they're still playing Sweet Child of Mine, Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, Mr. Brownstone, right? They have their greatest hits, right? So as an advertiser, you want to do the same thing. When you find a winner, those are the ones that you put $1 a day against, again, for 6 months, a year, initially 7 days. But if it continues doing well, extend it, right? Just let it like bring you residual return. And $1 a day is a starting point. It can be more though. You know, people get caught up on that, like, oh, you know, so just $1. Like if something's like getting you conversions or a lot of traffic to your website, then you could easily do $5 a day, $10 a day, $20 a day, depending on the size of your audience. But to get started, I don't care if you have no budget, right? We all have enough to at least spend $1 a day.
Right. And it's the principle that matters more than anything. The $1 a day does tie into more advanced strategy, our 3x3 video grid, which you guys can read about in our other training materials. But you're going to start with the $1 a day, you know, just the small budget. But the point is that your funnel is going to generate you results forever on an ongoing basis, and you're going to amplify your winners. So you're going to have a super effective funnel. You're not just going to dive straight in. Like bigger companies have proposed big budgets, right? But sometimes it makes sense to build from the ground up so that you're not just blowing, right? Well, we talked to some people that they were blowing $20,000 a week, right, on ads that didn't make sense because they weren't testing or building out, you know, their winners, their greatest hits first.
Yeah, you guys would be surprised how much budget is wasted by some of these big companies where they treat every campaign equally, where they're going to test a new campaign, and each campaign they might just put $500 against. So maybe they have 5 campaigns, well boom, there's $2,500, and they really don't know if the campaign's going to work or not. I've seen some that have really bombed, right? So don't let yourself get in that position. You know, when it comes to creative, by nature it's a subjective thing. If you're like me, I hated English classes in high school, and I actually like writing and I like reading, but I hated English classes because I felt they were so subjective, right? I'd write this paper and I thought it was pretty good, and then the teacher would be like, it's no good because you did this or that. I'm like, well, that's kind of like subjective rules, you know, like, for example, one of the rules is don't say what you're going to write about, just start writing about it. So for example, in the first paragraph, you're not supposed to say this paper is about how to do math properly. But what if I want to? I'm the author, you know, that's my creative freedom, flexibility, right? So creative is always subjective. You know, some people might think this ad's good, some people might think it sucks, right? We like to let the data tell the story. So Facebook wants to give its users a good experience. If the ad sucks and people don't like it and they're giving it negative feedback, you're going to notice, again, it's going to get low reach and low engagement, which means you should quit running it. So don't let yourself become fooled by the pride of, you know, what's subjective and what creative you think is best. Let the data, the customers decide for you. And again, start with $1 a day over 7 days. And then based off what the data is saying, not what your coworker thinks, not what your mom thinks, not what you think, then you find your winners, and those are the ones you allocate. And again, I love the musician example, right? So you guys might know Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer is their most popular song, and the singer hates it, right? He didn't even want to put it on the album, but they needed some more songs, and he said, well, I do have this one other song, Living on a Prayer, and he played it for his bandmates and the producer, and they all loved it. They said, you know, this is going to be a hit, and they basically like twisted his wrist to put the song on the album. And of course, now every single show he goes to, he better be playing that song or the crowd's not going to be happy, right? And it's played at sports venues all over. So he thought the song was garbage. He thought it was like cliche and who would really like this, right? So don't fall into that mistake, right? Let the data tell the story based off what the audience likes. Those are the ones you put your spend against.
Absolutely. And how this applies to you guys, whether if you're trying to manage a small client, if you're stepping into a new agency role and managing some spend, or if you're just building your personal brand, you know, when we talk about the personal brand, for example, you're going to have your why videos at the top of the funnel. Those are the first videos you're going to make and promote. And you're going to start with $1 a day, right? It's totally affordable for you to put yourself out there and get your face in front of people. You can just go to Chipotle, one less time a week to make the room to spend $1 a day to build your personal brand. And you're going to see, like Logan said, most of your videos are going to flop, especially at the start. You just have to get in the rhythm of that. But over time, it'll be clear, right? Like the ones that are getting the cheapest video views, the best view through rate, and those are, they're going to promote you, and people are going to get to know you before, you ever have to have a personal contact too.
Yeah, and the thing to recognize too is we've all heard the expression content is king, but on social media, content has a very short shelf life, right? The shelf life for a post on Facebook is about 24 hours, one day. And even the best posts, I had a picture where it was me and Mark Zuckerberg, and I wrote this whole post about it, so that did really well. Like, people really liked that. But even that, maybe, every day you log on and you see, oh, I got some more likes or some more comments on it. That maybe lived for 3 days, right? The average post is not going to live for more than a day. On Twitter, it's only going to live for like 12 minutes is what they say for the average tweet. On LinkedIn, it might live a little bit longer, maybe a few days, but organically is not enough, right? If you really have a great piece of content and you don't put spend against it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because again, it's really hard to come up with good content and it just won't last organic. Like, organic's good initially, but put at least something against it. Like Ben said, it's just like, saving yourself a soft drink or something from the vending machine. So it's not a lot of money, but would challenge you guys today to just go make some content, run some ads, and just put $1 a day against them for a week just so you can say you've done it. I think that's a big fear a lot of people have, is just like getting over that initial hurdle of putting spend against something, running an ad, and then just see how the results perform. And you can start using it for any objective, whether you're trying to grow your personal brand, trying to just drive people to your blog or to YouTube, or if you're a musician, driving people to Spotify, whatever your business objective is, all you need to get started is $1 a day, right? You don't need $1,000 or $500, just this. So it's something, even you poor college students, which I was one of you guys for like 6 years, I used to work at Pizza Hut doing delivery. So I had a few of these, right? And I wish I would have spent some time advertising my personal brand back then.
Awesome.
Thanks. Guys, you haven't got anything left, Ben?
Yeah, no, just put this into action. Let us know how it works for you. We're here to, support you. We'd love to see, your 1-minute videos and what you guys do with $1 a day. So,
sweet.